Very good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much for registering and participating in today's workshop. I mean, your participation here is going to be an encouragement for us. Now, you inspire us to conduct many such workshops and webinars. So thank you very much for participating in today's session here. Now, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Vivin Sathyan, and I am the IT security consultant for the AD Solutions suite here at ManageEngine. Okay, and the core topic for today's discussion is going to be 5 hacks to ensure business continuity. Okay, so let me quickly give you the agenda here. So this is going to be the agenda for today's discussion. I'll start with a quick overview about ManageEngine and its product offerings, and then I'll talk a bit about IT security compliance and business continuity. And I'll back that up with some vital statistics that I have prepared. I mean, the statistics is the latest. And then we'll talk about the core topic of our today's session, which is going to be 5 hacks to ensure business continuity. And I'll also tell you how ManageEngine helps you in, with the business continuity part. So we'll be discussing about the product offerings from ManageEngine as well. Okay, now if you have some questions for me, and you can very well use the chat option, and even if I'm not able to answer the questions instantly, I'll make sure that I get back to you offline. So you can count me on that. So you always have the chat option if you have any questions pertaining to any topic that we discussed today. Okay, so let's start here. So let's start about ManageEngine. So ManageEngine is going to be the second division of Zoho Corporation. I mean, Zoho Corporation is the brand, and it has 3 divisions. The first division being Zoho, the second division ManageEngine, and the third one is going to be WebNMS. Now, the first division, which is Zoho, focuses in developing applications for business, collaboration, and productivity. For example, you have applications like your mail client, applications like CRM, and all other softwares under Zoho. So we have 40 plus softwares there. And talking about the second division, which is ManageEngine, that's going to be the IT, enterprise IT division of Zoho Corporation. So we have another 50 softwares under ManageEngine. So to name a few, the Active Directory suite, which I'll be introducing to you today, and you have applications for monitoring your servers. You have a ticketing software and a lot more. And the third division is going to be WebNMS, which is a Network Management Framework division of Zoho Corporation. So the WebNMS focuses in developing frameworks. So these are the 3 divisions. Now, talking about the product portfolio, so we are proud to say that ManageEngine has some award-winning portfolios right here. So we have 40 plus products for real-time IT management, and we have really a good lineup or a valuable lineup of free tool offerings. Now, at the end of this session, I will be sharing you the links to the free tools. So we have 20 plus free tools that, as the name indicates, it's completely free. You can download the free tools, and it is very user-friendly, and you can enjoy its benefits. So I'll be sharing the link for the free tools by the end of the session, so you can watch out for that. Okay, so I would like to have you to have a look at the diagram right here. So we have applications for Active Directory management, and another division within ManageEngine itself focusing on IT operations and client management, and we have a dedicated section for IT security. So we will be focusing on IT security today. So that will be the core of our today's discussion. Okay, and last but not the least, when talking about ManageEngine, the most precious factor is going to be its customers. So we are proud to say that we have a customer base of more than 2 million users and from reputed organizations, and you are part of that. So thank you very much once again. Okay, now let's talk about IT security and business continuity. Now, as you see in the picture, IT security and business continuity is going to be an evolutionary process. Now, why do I say that it is an evolutionary process? Because, I talk to a lot of administrators. So I've been a security consultant for over 3 years now, and I've been talking to administrators all over the world in various occasions through seminars, conferences, webinars, and all such means. Now, they have the same stance as mine when I talk about IT security and business continuity, and they agree that it is going to be an evolutionary process because every day you meet a roadblock, you revise the plan, and you are prepared for something worse. And then you meet another roadblock, you improvise, and then you come up with a new plan. So which means it evolves on a daily basis. And that's why I say that it's going to be an evolutionary process. Now, when I say that it is IT security is an evolutionary process, we will have to have a standardized approach, in order to actually make sure that IT security and business continuity are in place. So the approach that ManageEngine has is going to be named as the PARI approach. So PARI stands for planning, analyzing, recovering, and then improvising. So this is the approach that we here at ManageEngine follow in order to build our security applications. And I'll tell you, I'll give you an explanation or a justification for this PARI approach right here. So the first and the foremost thing for any security plan is going to be is going to make sure that we come up with a plan that is effective. So the first step is we come up with a plan that is very effective, keeping all the minute pain points in mind. So that's the first thing any organization would want to do, which is plan. And the second thing is eventually, no matter how good the plan is, there's always a key to unlock any complicated locks. So what happens is if you face any roadblock, there has to be an effective system or a means by which you analyze what caused the roadblock in the first place. So that is the analysis phase, which is the second phase in our PARI approach. So you plan, there comes a roadblock, and then you analyze what went wrong. So you have to have answers for four vital W's, as we call it here, which is who, what, when, and where. So only when you have answers to these four vital W's, you will have clarity, and then you can move on to the next step, which is recovery. So only when you know what's going wrong, so you'll be able to recover, and the recovery has to be a quick process and not a slow one. And why do I say that it needs to be a quick process? Because quicker the recovery, higher the productivity. So which means recovery is the speed of recovery is directly proportional to your business productivity. So that's recovery. And once we are done with the first three stages in our PARI approach, which is we have planned, we have analyzed, and then we have recovered. So we will have to make sure that we improvise. And how do we improvise? We can only improvise that we have the right tools in hand. So we have a lot of tools available, but that wouldn't make sense if it is not going to be user-friendly and at the same time effective. So we'll have to find the right tools when it comes to improvising and then coming up with a new plan. So that's the PARI approach. Now this PARI approach is going to be the base principle of our today's discussion: planning, analyzing, recovering, and improvising. Okay. So the next is, I thought of discussing some of the emerging threats for 2016. So you have a lot of other threats as well, but a statistic says, or a survey says, that these four are going to be the top four threats for 2016. So I thought I'll stick to these four, and then which I thought would be more value added for you. Okay, so let's start with the first one. The first one is going to be ransomware, and the second one is going to be the IoT and its related attacks. And third one is cyber-espionage, and the fourth one is insider attacks. Okay, so the first one, ransomware. Now, What is ransomware? So this is a type of malware, and unlike any other malware, this is going to function in a very peculiar manner. And how does it infect a user's system is going to be very interesting here. Now, what this malware does is once it enters into an end user's system, let's take for example your PC. Now this is going to target the cloud-based storage which is attached to your PC. For example, if you are using a PC that has access to the cloud storage, for example OneDrive or Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever it is. So if your PC has connectivity to your cloud-based storage, now, and if you are accessing a compromised website, or if you are downloading something from a phishing email, so what happens is this malware gets into your PC and it encrypts data. It encrypts your data, the data that is present in your PC. And what does it do? And if you try to access something that you have been accessing all these years, you wouldn't be able to do so because the data is encrypted. And how do you get rid of the ransomware? So that's why they have named it as ransomware. So the ransomware authors will get in touch with you. So you'll have to pay them a ransom in order to actually get rid of the ransomware or the malware from your PC. So this ransomware targets basically the end points or the PCs that are connected to the cloud-based storage. Okay, and how do you deal with ransomwares? So please make sure that you have a packet inspection system in your organization, or if you have any restrictions for or any threat databases available in your organization, please make sure that you map the user's activity to those threat databases so that if any of the threat definitions match the ones in the database, you will be notified. So based on this, administrators can take or define preventive plans or come up with new plans so that they can prevent ransomware attacks. Okay. Now the second one is the threats related to the Internet of Things. Now talking about the threats related to IoT. Now you might be aware of IoT. If you are using a Fitbit, or if you are using as a refrigerator, or if you are using any mobile app in your phones, then you are already using or connected to the IoT. And the threats related to IoT are going to be very increasing. Are going to be increasing in 2016. And why do I say that? Because while we are enjoying the benefits that this technology offers, which is IoT offers, we are not sure about the data that is being gathered from our devices. For example, if you have a Fitbit, and if that Fitbit is going to let you know the number of steps that you have walked, and also it gives you your heart rate, the number of calories you've burnt, and so on and so forth. And if you want that to email to your inbox, all those vital statistics and so on and so forth, we are not quite sure about the back-end operations of these applications. Fitbit was just one example. You have a lot of things when it comes to IoT, which is Internet of Things. So we'll have to make sure that the devices that are collecting these data are integrated with an authentication mechanism. And why is it that? Why do you need an authentication system? Because more than 90% of the threats that are related to IoT happen because of a lack of authentication. So when you don't have any authentication in place, it is something like an open gate with no security check. Anyone can come in, take whatever they want, and then leave out without leaving any trail. Okay, so that's not good. So we'll have to make sure that we try our best to integrate the IoT with an authentication system. And if you have a multi-factor authentication system in place that you have integrated with the IoT, that's the best thing to do. So that's IoT. Okay, and the next one is cyber-espionage. So as the name indicates, espionage means spying. So it is all about cyber spying. So cyber spying was initially between two nations. So one nation trying to steal information, valuable information from the other. So slowly cyber espionage is being introduced to the networking world as well. Say for example, users of belonging to multiple companies or users working for companies trying to retrieve vital information of their competitor. So that's kind of cyber espionage. And how do you mitigate that? So you'll have to make sure that you monitor all the VPN activities, and you'll have to make sure that the mails sent to the internet and the mails that are received from the internet are being inspected closely so that no confidential data passes your organization without your consent. So that's going to be cyber espionage. And Nesbitt has a very interesting thought about cyber espionage. And as you can see on the screen, he has said that the next world war will be fought on a keyboard. Okay, that's a bit scary. And last but not least, this is all about insider attacks. Now, if you just had a look at the pattern of the remaining three attacks that we just discussed, which is cyber espionage, the IoT, and the ransomware. Now, all these three things, all those three things are going to be related to external attacks. From outside, attacks from outside. Now, when I say insider attacks, it is all about things happening within your organization or within your network. So the actions can be either intentional or it can be accidental. So it doesn't matter, anyways, the damage is the same. Okay, so be it intentional or accidental. And most of the cases, 99% of the cases, insider attacks happen due to inappropriate privileges. If you grant someone the access to something, and if you fail to revoke the access, and in the due course of time, if the same pattern follows, a normal user in your organization would have an administrator's access, and that isn't too good. So that isn't good at all. So that's one case, and the second case is going to be due to insecure passwords. So I've seen certain organizations with where users are allowed to go past user creation by setting a blank password. So if that is going to be the case, then it's time to set some security standards in place. So insecure passwords, yes, we'll have to deal with that too. And then the next one is going to be lack of auditing and alerting. So why auditing and alerting? So why not just auditing? So it's not enough that you come to know about the damage. There has to be an auditing and an alerting mechanism in place which lets you know about the damage then and there. So we are talking about real-time alerting when something goes wrong. Okay, so that's lack of auditing and alerting is also one reason for insider attack. And last but not least, poor response time. And when something goes wrong, and in order to take that back to normal, the response time is normally, it's not good. So we'll have to make sure that we improve the response time. And how do we improve the response time? When we have the right tools to actually analyze what went wrong, so we will be able to respond in a much quicker manner. So thereby improving the response time. So these are the four major factors for insider attacks. Okay, now that we have seen all four emerging threats for 2016, you want to know who the winner is? Okay, the winner is insider attack. So which means 55% of the attack among these four are going to be because of an insider. So we'll have to focus more on the insider attack. So that's going to be the core agenda today. So we're going to see how to mitigate insider attacks. And why do I need to find out insider attacks? Because you have the statistics here that could actually back up what I just said. So this is the worldwide perception of insider attacks, and 55% of the attacks are because of privileged users. So when things fall, or when permissions fall in the wrong hands, then the structure or the domain is not going to be in place. So 55% of the attacks are going to be of the insider attacks are going to be because of privileged user accounts, and followed by contractors and service providers, and then you have the business partners at last. Okay, now what would be the end result of an insider attack? Now, as you can see in the graph that I've shown to you, or that I've shared with you, so the costs of the insider attacks increase year by year. Not only the costs, the number of attacks are also on the increase. So if you could just have a look at 2010, we had 50 attacks per week, and then when it comes to 2012, we had 102 attacks, and 2015, I'm pretty sure that the number is double. So, and when talking about the time taken to resolve the attacks, it is also on the increase, so which is not good. So we'll have to make sure that we find out the attacks and then we respond to them on time. Because as I said at the beginning of the presentation, so quicker the response time, higher the productivity. So response time is, is tightly connected to business productivity. Okay, now how are we going to deal with insider attacks? Again, we are going to use the PARI principle. So the first P stands for, the P stands for planning, A for analysis, R for recovery, and I for improvise. So the first step is planning. Now, how do you plan? Now, you as administrators do not, you need not break your head in actually coming up with a security chart or a security diagram for your organization. The compliance team has already taken care of that. So we have a standard, or we have a security sketch that has already been defined. All we have to make sure is we abide by those standards. So the planning phase, or 90% of the job related to planning, is completed when we abide to an existing standard. So be it HIPAA, or be it PCI, or be it GLBA, or any standard for that matter. So if you abide to that standard, the planning phase is almost done. So next comes the analysis phase. Now, analysis is actually split into two. Okay, as you can see here, analysis is split into two. The first one is combating network intrusions at devices level. Now, this is something interesting. Now, why do I need to combat network intrusions at devices level and not at the network level? Now, if I am going to deal with network intrusions in the network level, then it is all about dealing with an external attack. Okay, but now here we are talking about dealing or mitigating internal attacks. So when I talk about internal attacks, I'll have to combat network intrusions at the devices level. So only then I'm referring to internal attacks. So that's the analysis phase. And the second part in the analysis phase is mitigate security attacks then and there. So we are talking about real-time actions. So real-time auditing and real-time alerting. So that would be the core idea here when it comes to analysis. So you analyze quickly, that will help you to recover. Okay, so only when the analysis phase is effective, the recovery is going to be a quick process. And only when the recovery is quick, the business productivity is going to be good, or the business continuity is going to be good. Okay, so analysis, and talking about recovery, we'll have to have effective recovery solutions in place as well. So the analysis and the recovery phase should be a quick process and not a slow one at all, at any cost. Okay, because that is directly linked to business continuity. Okay, and using the right tools, you will be improvise and then come up with a new plan or a new standard. So that's going to be with that said, with the principle explained, I'm now going to show you how ManageEngine is going to help you to meet these standards using the PARI principle. Okay, so we're going to have a look at 4 applications related to IT security today. So this is going to be a bit interesting. So some of you might have already been, might have been using this for quite some time. For some of you, these applications might be new. So I would request you to just, have a look at the applications and the options that we have and deploy the ones that better suit your requirement. Okay, so ADMANAGER Plus, Audit Plus, and EventLog Analyzer and RecoveryManager Plus. So these four are going to be the product offerings from ManageEngine when it comes to IT security. Okay, so let's start with the first one here. So I'm just going to start with a quick overview about ADManager Plus and how it helps you to improvise or improve IT security. Okay, now what is ADManager? So ADManager is going to be an Active Directory object lifecycle management software. Okay, so when I say Active Directory, it is all about users, computers, groups, and contacts. And when I talk about managing them, managing is all about creation, modification, and deletion. Okay, so I'm talking about the entire lifecycle management of objects within Active Directory from a centralized console and what you can do with that. So you can generate or you can analyze any groups within Active Directory, any permission within Active Directory using this application. And is this any important or is this related to IT security? Definitely, because groups are directly related to IT security. If a user is going to be a part of inappropriate groups, let's say a normal domain user is part of enterprise admin groups, then what happens? Now, the domain user has now control over all the resources within the domain. So that's not a good thing. So group membership and permissions are going to be the core when it comes to IT security of an Active Directory organization. And why are we sticking to Active Directory? So let me just give you a very interesting stat given by Alex Simons, the Director of Program Management at Microsoft. Now, he says that in a given day, over 95 million Active Directory accounts are under security attack. So which means we will have to start from the base. We will have to make sure that the users are members of right groups and the accounts are managed in an effective manner. And how do you do that? You have a secure delegation. So instead of delegating permissions and then delegating inappropriate permissions and failing to revoke those changes or failing to revert those permissions that you have delegated, so it's going to cause a lot of mess. So we'll have to make sure that we securely delegate tasks to our users. So be it a mid-level technician, be it the help desk. So we'll have to make sure that we delegate tasks very securely and have a record on what is being delegated. Okay, so we're going to talk a bit about security delegation here, and the most important thing is going to be Active Directory cleanup. So we're going to talk about that as well. So this is how ADManager Plus is tightly connected with IT security. Okay, so you might have seen this quite often. So if you'd like to find out the group membership of a user account in Active Directory, so what you normally do is you just open up a server, and then if you'd like to find out the group membership for a user account, you open up the Active Directory users and computers, you do a double click, and you have the member of tab. Okay, so you just have a look at the member of tab. Okay, so the user is part of the domain users group, which is going to be the primary group. That's very obvious. And you have another group. So that's very basic. Okay, now what if this group here is iteratively linked to a top level security group in your organization? Now, would this console tell you that this group is going to be linked to a top level security group? No, you wouldn't find answers. You wouldn't find answers to such questions here. Now, what happens when this group is linked to a top level admin group, which means indirectly this user, the user that we're talking about, has rights or has elevated permissions which he or she shouldn't be having. Okay, so that's going to be quite alarming. So we will have to not only look at the direct group membership of users, there has to be a way by which we look for group memberships, or we query group memberships iteratively. So that's exactly what ADManager Plus does. So ADManager Plus analyzes the group membership in an iterative manner. And if a normal user is linked to any top level admin groups, you can just get the information just within just by the click of a button, and then remove those users or remove those users from the inappropriate groups. So we'll have to make sure that the user is a member of only the intended groups. Okay, the next thing is preventing unauthorized actions in Active Directory. So why do you need to do that? So say for example, I have been given rights in Active Directory to actually add users or delete users for that matter. And if I log into Active Directory and delete a couple of users by mistake, so that's going to cause a lot of trouble. And if I have a recovery solution in place, well and good. But what if by mistake have granted 10 users the right to delete users in Active Directory? And if they do the same thing, it's not going to be as easy as we think, because restoring users from the deleted objects container is no joke. So we will have to have a way by which we supervise actions. We as administrators should supervise some crucial actions in Active Directory. I'm not saying that you should be supervising all actions in Active Directory, but some crucial actions in Active Directory needs to be supervised. So ADManager Plus also allows you to supervise such actions. So for example, if a user needs to delete some crucial accounts, instead of the user deleting accounts in Active Directory, the user will be raising a request for deletion. The request will be forwarded to the administrator. So you can just have a look at the request. If you find that is valid, approve it, else reject it with a reason. Okay, so that's a workflow kind of mechanism. And the next one is automating crucial tasks. Okay, say for example, a user needs access to a specific application, and that if that application's access is tied to a specific security group, what you do is you grant the user the access, or you add the member or the user to that security group. Okay, now in 90% of the cases, an administrator would fail to revoke the access once the user has done accessing the application. Okay, now what if the same user wants to access another application which is in turn linked to another group? So this is going to pile up the number of groups that the user is going to be a member of, and all those are unwanted. So what you can do is you can automate the granting and revoking of such group memberships. So temporary group assignment and revoking can be automated using the application. Okay, so that you can be sure that the groups have only the right members as its right users as its members, and no inappropriate users belong to any security groups. Okay, so and also we have an option to deprovision user accounts. So we have another fantastic feature within the application that is again tightly related to IT security, and I'll introduce you to the feature in a short while. So I'm just going to give you a quick feel about the application right here. So this is the application that I was talking about, which is ADManager Plus. And as you can see here, this application has a lot more to offer when it comes to IT security, so than what I just mentioned. So talking about reports, we have close to 200 reports that you can generate and benefit from Active Directory. And why do you need a reporting tool for Active Directory? The reason is the ones that I just mentioned. So if you'd like to find out anything related to the user account, instead of you clicking on the tabs here and then spending time, all you need to do is just go to the section and then select the reports that you're looking for and generate the report and get the information from there. Okay, and I was also talking about the workflow section, which is supervising actions in Active Directory. So if you want someone to raise a request for crucial actions instead of them doing it in Active Directory, so you can assign certain users as requesters. So they raise a request, and that the request will get forwarded to the superior levels, and then it will be executed. So only if the executor says OK to a request, the action will take place in Active Directory. And during the process, if any of these approvers would like to edit an existing ticket that is raised by a user and then send it for approval, send it for higher levels of execution, yes, you have an option for that too. And I was talking about automating certain crucial tasks in Active Directory, something like deprovisioning user accounts. So why do you need to deprovision user accounts? So if you have an application in place. So if you have Active Directory and if you have close to 2,000 users, so I'm pretty sure that out of those 2,000 users, let's say close to 100 or 150 users might be inactive. Inactive in the sense users might not have logged into Active Directory for the last 60 days or 90 days. They might have left the organization. Okay, now if one of those accounts are going to be a top level admin accounts, then the damage that can be caused through that account, through a misuse of that account, is, is something that we cannot measure. Okay, so you can just go ahead and do anything if you have access to a stale domain admin account. Okay, and if that account is going to be in an enabled state, then I need not say anything more because the damage is already done. So we'll have to have a mechanism in place to automatically deprovision such accounts, and then instead of you administrators manually finding out such accounts and then deprovisioning them, you can simply leave it to the application. So all you need to do is just automate such tasks so that the application would do the job for you. So it would move users to a different OU, remove them from all security groups, disable the accounts, and then probably wait for 30 days or 60 days and delete the accounts from Active Directory. So you have a sequential deprovisioning process within the application, which again is tightly related to IT security. So we'll have to make sure that the users are removed from the security groups and the user account is disabled. So then go ahead and delete the accounts. So instead of you doing it, the application does it for you. Okay, so that's ADManager Plus, and I was talking about finding out the group membership of users and finding out who has access to what. Okay, so let's say you have a confidential folder in your organization, and if you'd like to make sure that the folder is not accessible by anyone else except the top level admins, how do you do that? So you have 4 reports within ADManager Plus that could give you answers who has access to what, and if they have access, what level of access do they have? And if a specific folder has, let's say, 30 subfolders, what access do they have on those subfolders? And if you find that 20 users in the list have inappropriate access, they shouldn't be having access to that share, how would you wipe those 20 users? Okay, you have answer for that too. So you have an option for that too. So you have a dedicated section for removing NTFS and share permissions in bulk. So that's the best part here. So when talking about permission and security, the application is going to be helpful for you. Okay, so you can perform any management action that you want in Active Directory using a centralized console. That's the best part here. And I was also talking about delegating certain tasks to your to your colleagues, be it administrators, be it help desk technicians, or be it line managers. Instead of elevating the user's permission in Active Directory, you grant them a temporary role. The role will decide what they can do or what they cannot do in Active Directory. So you map a role to a technician. They log into the application, they do the stuff that you have delegated to them, and they not only do that, you are allowed to supervise or audit the actions as well. So if you'd like to find out who has done what in Active Directory through this application, you have a detailed auditing section for that. So we are talking about secure delegation here without having to elevate a user's permission in Active Directory. That's ADManager Plus. Okay, so that's about the first application, and now talking about the SIEM offerings from ManageEngine. So we have 2 applications when it comes to when it comes to SIEM. So we have ADAudit Plus and EventLog Analyzer. Now the whole idea behind SIEM is log collection and analysis. Okay, so let's say you have you have an environment, an AD environment, an Active Directory environment of 5,000 users. Okay, so you have users performing tasks, Active Directory tasks on a regular basis. They create accounts, they access files, and they delete some content, they change permissions, and all those are going to be recorded somewhere. So where are they recorded? Now it is recorded in the security log of the event viewer. So it's recorded right here. So you have it right here. So if you just log into one of your servers and open up the event viewer, you would find Windows logs, and the actions that your users perform in Active Directory will be recorded right here. So you have separate logs for application, security, setup, system, and you have forwarded events. Okay, that's very good. So it's good to know that the information is recorded somewhere, but it is not enough. So just by recording something, it's not going to be helpful. So there has to be a tool by which you effectively analyze, the logs that have been collected. So Windows has done its part here when it comes to log collection, but the log has to be analyzed effectively. So based on the analysis, we will be able to derive a pattern so that we can mitigate or we can find out certain security attacks. Okay, and not only that, in order to make sure that you are compliant, that your organization is compliant when it comes to auditing, the logs have to be archived as well. Say, for example, a user joins the company today and resigns after a year from now. The user might be out of your Active Directory organization, but the damage that the user has done to the organization, or in terms of Active Directory misuse, is going to be there. So we'll have to have a way by which we archive logs for forensic analysis as well. So log collection, log analysis, pattern finding, and log archival are going to be the core idea of the applications that we're going to discuss about. Okay. Now, the first application when it comes to SIEM is going to be ADAudit Plus. Now, why do you need to have an application to find out who has done what in Active Directory? I'll give you the proof, or I'll give you the justification for that. Now, as I said earlier, any action that any user performs in Active Directory will be recorded in the security logs of the event viewer. Okay, so let's say I have an organization which has close to 5,000 employees and 3 administrators for that organization. Now, out of these 3 administrators, some of them have deleted by mistake or intentionally 10 security groups from Active Directory. And I'll have to find out which security groups were deleted and who deleted the groups and from which PC did they initiate the delete operation. Now, Microsoft has given a wonderful technology that is helpful, or that is very helpful when it comes to recording logs. The logs are recorded right here. But how would I find out which user deleted the group or which admin did that? So I have close to 200,000 events right here. So I'll have to search, perform a search query. And if that search query is very effective and at the same time it is fast, I will be able to find out the groups that the user deleted and the administrator deleted. But this isn't going to be helpful. This is going to be a bit complex. Now, what if there are 20 domain controllers in my organization? So I'll have to perform the same search query in all the 20 domain controllers. And why is that? The delete operation will be replicated in all the domain controllers of my organization, but the event related to the delete operation will only be recorded in that specific server. The security events are not going to be replicated, whereas the action will be replicated. So that is the very important aspect here. So that's going to consume a lot of time, and I don't want to do that. So I want an application that could give me these vital information with a matter of clicks. And ADAudit Plus is exactly that application. So let me quickly tell you what are the components that the application is going to analyze. Now, this application is smart enough to analyze or read events from your domain controllers, from your member servers, and from your file servers. And this is going to give you real-time alerts and also some predefined reports so that you can get insight on what's happening in your Active Directory. So the core idea of this application is to give you answers for 4 vital W's in your Active Directory when it comes to auditing. And what are the 4 vital W's? Who, what, when, and where. So this application is capable of performing real-time auditing, and it also has some compliance reports So that is going to be very useful for you. So let's say an IT auditor steps into your organization and then asks for a few reports. I'm pretty sure that the reports which fall under this category, which is the compliance category of ADAudit Plus, would be giving answers to your auditors. And the answers are going to be very quick because it is just a matter of selecting a report and then hitting generate. So you should be getting the information that you're looking for within a matter of seconds. And the most important part here is this application is capable of monitoring the activity of privileged user accounts. So when I say privileged user accounts, I'm referring to user accounts that are attached or that are member of top level security groups in my organization. Say for example, a user changes something in the GPO and that GPO is in turn linked to the domain. So that is going to cause a lot of damage if the change is not desirable. So I have to make sure that I have an auditing solution in place that actually gives me answers on who did the change and from where was the change done and what was the old value before the modification, so that I can revert the change. Okay. So when it comes to compliance, you have reports for various compliance standards. As you can see here, we have dedicated reports for HIPAA, SOX, FISMA, and GLBA and PCA as well. So these are some of the standards that the application can help you generate reports for. And these are some of the reports. So monitor, when it comes to any compliance activity, the core of any compliance is to monitor the logon activity. So I was talking about cyber-espionage as one of the attacks, which is cyber spying. So the core idea in order to detect or analyze any spying activity is to monitor their logon. So from from which IP was the logon initiated, and was it a terminal server activity, or was it any activity pertaining to domain controllers or in the member servers? So if I have a check on all the logon activities in my domain, I can be sure that I'll be able to find out if there are any abnormal login activities happening in my domain from outside the network. Okay. The next one, when it comes to permission and security, is going to be GPO, because GPO plays a key part when it comes to authorization. So authorization is basically deciding what a user can do or what a user cannot do in Active Directory. So GPO plays a crucial part. And if someone is going to manage GPOs, and if that action is undesirable, I'll have to have a way by which I get notified instantly so that I can revert the change immediately. So when it comes to GPO auditing, GPO auditing is going to be real time, and any GPO change that you can think of will be covered by the application. And you get real time alerts so that you can revert the change if you feel that it is not desirable. Okay. Now, a very interesting category here. I'm pretty sure, so out of all the attendees, out of all the administrators who have attended this session, all of you would be benefiting from this specific feature that we have within the auditing software, which is account lockout analysis. I'm pretty sure that you have a specific account in your organization that gets locked out multiple times in a given day. Let's say more than 20 times in a given day. And you have no clue from where the lockout is getting initiated. So this feature that you're seeing right here on the screen is going to give you answers on from where the lockout is getting initiated. And how does this work? Now this feature basically analyzes 5 different components related to a lockout. So a lockout can be due to multiple reasons, and this application has taken the top 5 reasons pertaining to any lockout, and it's going to give you answers for an account lockout, or for any account lockout for that matter. So this application basically looks into any scheduled tasks. And for example, let's say you have a server in which you have created a scheduled tasks, and you have configured a username and password for this scheduled task. So as the password is about to expire, you update it in Active Directory, but you forget to update it in the scheduled tasks. Now what happens is, every time the scheduled task tries to authenticate against a domain controller, and if that action is going to cross the threshold, the lockout threshold, the account will get locked out. Even though you have the right password updated in Active Directory, you have failed to update the new password here in the scheduled task. So this could trigger a lockout. Another criteria is one of the Windows services might be using the old credential, or any one of the logon sessions or network drive mappings or COM objects might be using the outdated credentials. So that could trigger a lockout. Now, this application or this specific feature is going to analyze 5 different components, and it's going to tell you from exactly where the lockout is getting initiated. So that's Account Lockout Analyzer. Now, based on this, you can get to know if you find that the logon pattern of a specific user account is going to be abnormal, then you can be sure that it is a script attack. So let's say a specific user account gets tries to authenticate to your domain controller once in every 5 seconds. That's not something normal. So that's something that you'll have to watch out for. That could even be a script attack. So this specific feature will give you answers for that too. And if you find something abnormal, you can act accordingly. Okay, now talking about privileged user monitoring, we have n number of reports for that. I've just mentioned few reports that are related to security. So say for example, this would be very beneficial when it comes to banking sectors. And if you'd like to make sure that if you'd like to monitor the non-working hour logon activity, so non-business hour logon activity, you have dedicated reports for that. And if someone tries to access a file or folder that they are not supposed to access, and someone even tries to delete it, the output of the delete operation may be a success or a failure. Irrespective of the output, you will be able to get immediate notifications. So that if someone tries to do something which they're not supposed to do, you'll be getting notified instantly. Okay, so privileged user account creation. Now, creating a user account and then adding the user account to a top level enterprise group, to a top level security group, is something that you'll have to be notified. Because if someone is being added to the enterprise admin group or the domain admins group, and that's not going to be something that you can overlook. So you'll have to make sure that you are notified. So if you find that a user is added to a top level admin group by mistake, you can revert the change immediately. So we're talking about proactive actions here when it comes to auditing. So even before the users sense the damage, you would have already fixed it, because we are talking about real-time alerts here. Okay, so I just told you that this application is going to read information from the security logs. Now, what about the other logs here? We have application, we have setup, we have system, and the other logs as well. So EventLog Analyzer is going to analyze or read information from the other logs that are present in the security, in the event viewer. So this basically reads information from your application servers. So let's say you have a SQL server and you'd like to find out who logged into the SQL server and what changes have they done. Have they dropped any tables or anything of that sort? So you'll have to read information from the application logs in order to get information pertaining to all such actions. And this application also reads logs from non-Windows devices, or to be more specific, from the network devices. So it reads information from your firewall, and then it'll give you reports on that too. So this is going to be a powerful application because it has a powerful correlation engine. So this correlates, and then this gives you the information that you're looking for. So this again, when it comes to compliance, we have dedicated reports for compliance, and also using this application you will be able to perform forensic and incident investigation. So if anything goes wrong in Active Directory and you have answers on what went wrong, and again the 4 vital W's: who, what, when, and where. So those are going to be very crucial when it comes to auditing an Active Directory environment. So that's an EventLog Analyzer. And this application not only gives you or helps you mitigate internal security threats, but also external security threats. And how is that? So we have real-time alerts and real-time correlation that will help you deal with external security threats. So I'll be giving you a quick overview about the application in a short while. And talking about internal security threats, we have privileged user monitoring and also file integrity monitoring with the application. Now, two types of applications can benefit, two types of companies can benefit from this application. Applications looking for security solutions and also applications looking for compliance solutions can benefit from this application. Okay, so let's quickly dive into the software without any further delay. So this is going to be EventLog Analyzer. So this is the application that I was talking about. So the auditing piece that you have right here, the application that we discussed just before. Now this is going to read information from the security logs of the event viewer. Okay, whereas if you are looking to gather information from the other logs, then you have EventLog Analyzer. So if you just click on the reporting tab, this is going to give you a vital reports when it comes to your Active Directory environment. So if you are looking to study any vulnerability for that matter, you can just click on the vulnerability reports and then get the information that you're looking for. Now this application also helps you to perform port scanning. Now if an attacker is trying to enter into your network's traffic through a specific port, and if you'd like to find out the pattern of his attack, you can very well do that by importing the log files. So this application has not only gives you reports based on the logs that it has collected. So let's say you have an in-house application and you'd like to retrieve vital information from the logs from the in-house application that you have in the organization. What you can do is this application allows you to import those logs and then you get information from it. So how useful is that? So it not only allows you to read information from your existing application. So let's say tomorrow you build a new application that is specific for your organization, that is not a standard one. And if you'd like to analyze the logs from that application, you can import any log that is in human readable format, and then based on the logs you can just derive or come up with a pattern, and that pattern will be used as a search criteria. So if anything happens next time and if that matches the pattern that you have created, you will be notified. Okay, so you analyze the logs, you can create a pattern, and then you can map that pattern to an alert using the application. So that's how powerful the application is. And you can pretty much import any type of logs from any sources. The only condition that the application has, or the only criteria that you'll have to have, is you'll have to make sure that the logs that you import to EventLog Analyzer are going to be in human readable format. Okay, so this application gives you predefined alerts for your Windows machines, for your network devices, for your applications, as well as for the Unix and the Linux systems. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So this application allows you to actually customize the logic by which it retrieves or reads events from the logs. So you can define your own logic. So for example, if you are going to track any backdoor account creation, and if you're going to create a backdoor account creation profile, you can just go ahead and select the criteria, and based on the criteria that you have defined, the application will be listening to the logs, and if any specific condition or if any specific part of the log matches the correlation rules that you have built, you will be getting a notification. So you are allowed to create your own correlation rules using this application. And as I said, you can import any logs to the application and then derive a pattern just by analyzing the log. The only requirement is the logs need to be in human readable format. And it also has a very powerful search engine, and this allows you to search, this application allows you to search logs based on different criteria. You can search logs based on event IDs, severity, or based on users, source, type, or even the entire message. So you have a search engine that allows you to customize the searching options. Okay, so talking about so we have now covered, the analysis phase. So you remember the PARI approach, planning, analyzing. So we are done with the first two. And the next important methodology is, or the next important step in our PARI approach is going to be recovery. So when it comes to insider attacks and when it comes to the damage, we are talking about Active Directory recovery. So when I say recovery, we are talking about Active Directory object recovery here. Now, what this we have an application for that, which is RecoveryManager Plus. Okay, so that's going to help you recover Active Directory. And this is the application that I was talking about, which is going to help you recover Active Directory. So if anything goes wrong in Active Directory, you have an option to restore, you have an option to roll back, and when it comes to restore, you need not just go ahead and blindly restore. You can pick and choose the attribute that you are planning to restore. So we are talking about granular restore here when it comes to Active Directory. So these are some of the features that the application has to offer. So schedule backup of Active Directory changes. So you can decide when this application should back up Active Directory. So if anything goes wrong, this has something called versioning as well. So version 1 backup, version 2, version 3, and the backup technology that the application uses is going to be incremental backup. So if you'd like to restore changes, you need not perform a blind restore. You can pick and choose the exact change that you'd like to restore in Active Directory. And you have an option to perform a rollback as well. So if you have too many changes and you'd like to actually go back to step 1 without having to restore changes one by one, you have an option to do a complete rollback as well. So since this application is going to take scheduled backups, you need not worry about deleting an account in Active Directory. Now, talking about the range of objects that this application can backup, so as you can see here, this application can backup users, computers, contacts, groups, OUs, DNS zones, and also GPOs. So all primary objects in Active Directory will be backed up in Active Directory. And as I said, this is going to be an incremental backup. So if you have scheduled backup to take place once every 30 minutes, so you can just go ahead and have a look at the objects that the application has backed up in each schedule. So this is not going to perform a complete backup every time. So you perform a full backup the first time. The application is smart enough to actually compare any new changes on it. If there are any new changes when it comes to the original backup, only the changes will be backed up by the application. So this also helps you manage the space when it comes to backing up. Okay, so these are going to be the offerings from ManageEngine when it comes to IT security. Again, I'm just going to take you back to the PARI approach that we were talking about. So PARI approach is all about, planning, analyzing, recovering, and then improvising. So that's the PARI approach that we saw today. And we saw a few offerings from ManageEngine that could actually help you get your Active Directory back on track. So using the PARI approach. So you might have some questions for me. I mean, you might want to know more about some of the applications and how this can be helpful. So a mailer will be sent to you very shortly, soon after the session is over. If you have any questions, I request you to actually reply to that mailer so that we can improvise the session, we can answer your questions, and if you'd like to have a one-on-one session for any of the applications that we discussed so far, we'd be more than happy to do that as well. Okay, So I hope that the session was useful for you, and as I promised, I told you that I will be sharing the link for the free tools from ManageEngine. So in order to download the free tools, all you need to do is just go to manageengine.com. So that's the website. So once you are in the website, www.manageengine.com, you click on Active Directory. So once you click on Active Directory, okay, and you have a separate link for free tools right here. So related free tools, we have our blogs right here. You can just have a look at the blogs if you want. So you can just click on related free tools, and once you click on the free tools link, you gain access to more than 20 free tools that we have. So last blog on Reporter, AD Replication Manager, SharePoint Manager. So we do have applications, more than 20 applications that you can download and use for free. Okay, so I would request you to try this, and if at all, if you have any questions pertaining to any applications that we discussed, you are more than welcome to get in touch with us. So with that, thank you very much for taking part in today's session. So once again, thank you very much for spending some time for today's session here. You all have a nice evening. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.